Can you tune into a celebrity if you're talking to their higher self first, even though you aren't talking to them in person? I'd love to unwind this and do a little bit of self-reflection at the same time. Also, this is not about this creator specifically. This is a message and an educational moment to the collective. So please do not go and harass or spam this creator specifically. When you are offering your services to someone, doesn't matter if it's your medium or a psychic or an intuitive or a healer, when you are offering your services to someone, we want to make sure that there is comprehension, cohesion, and acceptance. And in those services, we are sitting in awareness with open discernment and no bias with that person individually, with their spirit energy, their spirit guides, possibly their guides, possibly also trying to communicate to their highest version of who they are. The highest self. Now, everyone's definition of the highest self is very, very different. The way that I define that is the spinning vibration of frequency that is in alignment with the highest connection to them and their God energy, their soul energy, that highest level of vibration. And yes, the goal is to communicate to that. Now let's talk about the ethics of communication with that without communication to this part of the person who is alive. In this case, specifically with celebrity readings. We are talking about the ethics of this. Ethics is an evolution of different kinds of circumstances that we deem to be appropriate or not be appropriate. Meaning that the ethics of the way that we behave now is very different than the ethics of the way that we behaved 50 years ago. It's very different than the way that we behaved 100 years ago. Ethics is always in a state of evolutionary change. And we are at a state of evolutionary change specifically when it comes to consent. Think about it like this. If you are a person who's getting dressed up for the night and you do your hair, you do your makeup, and you wear a really beautiful dress that you believe shows off your figure, you're proud of it, you're hanging out with your girlfriends, you're having a great time, and someone else might look at you and say, oh, well, she's just asking for it now, so I'm going to make an advance regardless if she wants it or not. And when they make an advance and you say, no, thank you, and they continue to make an advance, your brain says, I don't like that. I don't think so. And that person might say, well, you kind of had it coming. You were putting out an energy of acceptance. It's similar to that. And one of the arguments is when celebrities are who they are, singers, artists, musicians, actors, they give off an energy of acceptance and transparency. And though I have partial agreement with that, that's the highest self, but you still must go through the human condition. You still must go through the human mind, and the human mind still has choice. If that's hard to understand, take a moment and go watch a little bit of paparazzi hounding different kinds of celebrities when they're having a moment of just walking their dog or wanting to take their daughter out to dinner or something like that. And they're highly offended and affected by people not giving them space. Just because they are a person who lives in transparency doesn't mean you have full access to them. So we have to respect that the human brain is different than the higher self. One of the other things that was being said in the comments is someone said, well, there is no universal rule when it comes to ethics. Well, there should be. There should be. And that always gets to change. It gets to be in a vibration of change. Especially with our current zeitgeist. Everything must be permission-based. If this still is not making any sense to you, let me offer you an anecdote. In New York City, I was a part of a show for years that was very immersive. And the character that I played was very, very sensuous, very, very sexual. And it gives off this feeling, because I was interacting with different kinds of individuals, that they said, well, this means that this character, I should be able to touch him. I should be able to like grope him. And that happened all the time. And in that moment, regardless of I gave off an energy of openness and acceptance, you do not have permission to touch my body inappropriately. You do not have access to that. That just completely broke the wall for me. No matter how successful I was at portraying this character, being very sensual and sexual, you still do not have access to my body. That is my choice. And if this still is something that you feel very combative against, take a look at Tyler Henry, for example, someone who is taking his mediumship abilities and making it very, very big on spectacle. Everyone can see it. He can tune in before he walks into the house of the celebrity. He can do that. He has found resonance of, I'm getting a sense of this and I'm getting a sense of that. But he allows himself to wait to when he's in session with that sitter, so that sitter can give you evidence. Otherwise, you cannot actually prove that the information that you're bringing in is actually evidentially true. You have a profound feeling, and that is not the same thing.